Hi, welcome to your English class. Tell me, do you sometimes meet with old friends? Do you talk about the recent things that happen in your life? Yes, right? You share news. And tell me, are these news always good news? Or are they sometimes bad news? Yes, right? That is what we're going to practice today. So today in this class, let's share good news and bad news. All right, let me show you here the first example. Here we have a short conversation. Let's read together. In this case, the title is Long Time No See. Let's see if you discover the meaning of this expression. Hey Charlie, long time no see. Hey Sam, what have you been up to? Nothing much. And you? Well, we've moved. Did you know that? No, where did you move to? To Clarkridge. Are you still living in Octon? Yes, and we're not planning to move anytime soon. Now look, these two people probably are old friends, and they are talking about recent events. Do you think that they see each other every day? Probably not, right? So the expression long time no see gives the idea of it's been a long time since the last time I saw you, right? It has been a long time. That is the idea. Long time no see. Now, let's check another conversation between two friends. Look, here we have two people. Here we have Sam talking about some recent events. Tell me, how has he felt recently? How has he felt in the last week? Tired, right? Yes, he has felt tired in the last week. Let's discover why. Look, these are some things that have happened in the recent time to Sam. Sam has worked 60 hours in the last week. Sam's made 50 calls in the last 2 days, and he's seen 20 clients in the last month. So he's been very busy. That's why he's tired. Now, if you notice, we talk about recent events and we use a specific time or period of time. Look at this. In the last week, in the last 2 days, in the last month. Don't confuse with last week. Last week is a specific moment. In the last week refers to the previous 7 days. Something similar to here. In the last 2 days, in the previous 2 days. In the last month, in the previous 30 days. So in this case, we use again present perfect. If you remember, present perfect needs these two elements. The auxiliary have or has for he, she, it, with a possible contraction, and the verb in past participle. In some cases regular, like worked, in other cases irregular, like made or seen. Remember to check and study the verbs in past participle. Now, these are some of the reasons why Sam is tired. So, when he's sharing this news, are they good news or bad news? Let's check the next conversation. Check. Sandy, have you heard the news? No. What news? We're moving to Australia. Really? When? We're leaving next month. Are these good news? Listen again. Sandy, have you heard the news? No, what news? We're moving to Australia. Really? When? We're leaving next month. So, as you notice, depending on the intonation, we can transmit a positive or good news, negative or bad news. So, pay attention again to the intonation. We're moving to Australia. Really? Is this good news or bad news? Really? Good news or bad news? If you notice, the intonation goes like this. When you talk about something positive, the voice or the tone goes up. Really? And when you talk about something bad or negative, your tone or your voice goes down. Really? Right? Let me show you some examples of these phrases to express how to react to news, good or bad news. Check. When we talk about bad news, we can use expressions like, oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. That's too bad. That's terrible. That's awful. How awful. I'm so sorry. If you notice, the voice goes down. Now pay attention to the responses for good news. Congratulations. I'm delighted to hear that. That's great. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. How wonderful. I'm so happy for you. If you notice, for all the positive or good news, we raise the voice or raise the tone. Okay. Now, let's continue practicing with some of this. Here I have an incomplete conversation. Let's imagine some possibilities and let's use the appropriate response. For example, if I say, have you heard about Linda? No, what happened to her? She got married. No. Yes, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for her. Very good. In this case, we talk about something good, something positive. Let's use a different example. Have you heard about Linda? No, what happened to her? She's been very sick. No. Yes, that's awful. I'm so sad for her. There you go. Remember to use the correct tone and the correct intonation. Let's go with the last activity for this class. Check. Here I have a short text talking about a class reunion. Let's read together. Elena graduated from Southwest High School 10 years ago. She is at her 10-year class reunion this weekend. Most of her old classmates are there. Elena is catching up with old friends. They're sharing memories about their school, their teachers, other students, and the 4 years they spent together. What has happened in your life since you left school? Have you been to a class reunion before? What was it like? So imagine that you're getting to a class reunion. You see old friends that you haven't seen in a long time. Think about some recent good and bad news that you can share with them. Remember to use the expressions that we practice in this class. We can use a specific time or limit time, like in the last week, in the last month, in the last year, etc. And you can react to other people's news. For example, positive or negative things. Congratulations! Oh no, I'm delighted to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. So, let's practice like this. Think about something that has happened in your recent life and leave it in the comments. For example, I have been working with a new group in the last week. They are great. Congratulations, that's very good. Look for more news in the comments and use an appropriate sentence to respond, if it's positive or negative. And remember to practice the tone or the voice. Very good. Thank you for being here. As always, thank you for the participation. Thank you for the like, for subscribing, and for sharing this video with whomever might need it. Remember that my goal is to help as many people as possible. If you share my videos, you help me do that. Have a good night, and I will see you next class. Bye-bye.